Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. And right now it's me. I am here to do our weekend wrap up show, week 24, season 2 with you guys.
We executed.
I heard a fan offer free Dippin' Dots if I blew it.
Wanted to have some fun, execute.
I had bombs.
Stay as a team, execute, give 100%.
Dippin' Dots sound good.
All right, guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College SportsCast. So usually I have John Roberts here with me, but he is out of town today, this weekend. So he is not going to be, and I'm checking with Jason to see if he might join me and join in. So maybe I might have Jason Harrison, former Ole Miss point guard, joining me for the show. But as of right now, you guys got me. So welcome in College SportsCast. This is our weekend wrap-up show, week 24. So please go to homefieldapparel.com. They got the really cool vintage premium collegiate gear there. There's over 180 teams to choose from. They are dropping stuff new every day, it seems like. I mean, the last, seems like they're doing new teams every single day. Last week was 6 new Kentucky shirts. And then this week there was some Duke stuff. There was some North Carolina stuff. There's some smaller schools too. There's over 180 schools to choose from. But go to homefieldapparel.com and punch in our code CSCAST. If you are a first-time buyer, that code will get you a 15% discount. So Jason looks like is trying to join me here in a second. So when he gets ready, I will put him in so he can be here with me and we can bounce back and forth and talk about some of this stuff. But I'm going to open the show with this, guys. I got some big news here at College SportsCast. 2 of us are now SEC media credentialed. I am credentialed with Kentucky women's basketball, and John Roberts is credentialed with Auburn baseball. So there is 2 out of the 3 of us that are working in the SEC now, covering sports. Like I said, I am with women's basketball right now. John Roberts is with Auburn baseball. It'll be starting up in about 2 weeks, 2 weekends, actually, about 12 days. It'll be starting up. And then even more big news, I was accepted from the SEC office, guys, SEC office, to cover the SEC women's college basketball tournament in Greenville, South Carolina. So big news. It takes a lot to get approved by the SEC. I got to give a huge shout out. to Cammy Moore, who is the SID, the head public relations for Kentucky women's basketball. She put in a good word for me. She's allowed me this opportunity with Kentucky women's basketball. And the SEC office contacted her and Greenville Sports Media and Jay and asking questions about me because I've never been there before. They don't know me. But I know for sure that they done a little bit of checking in, and proud to say that I got some good reports back from the SEC, and I have been approved by the SEC office to cover the women's college basketball tournament in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't know about you guys, but South Carolina is one of the best teams in the country on the women's side. And you got LSU and Angel Reese that's going to be there, and you got Tennessee, and you got, you can just
Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
State, Ole Miss. You can go on down the list, so it should be a very, very fun time and a fun tournament to cover the SEC women's basketball tournament. It's huge because this was not approved by the schools and all this. This was approved by the SEC office. So what that means is now that I've got approval from the SEC office, if I can do a good job, maybe, just maybe, I can get in with SEC media days and, men's basketball tournament now and, lots of other things. Baseball tournament, there's lots of other things, that could go along with this. So it's pretty exciting. Jason Harrison is with me now. Jason played in the SEC. He played at Ole Miss. He knows how important and how hard it is, honestly, to get in with the SEC like this.
Extra hard. When the people in Birmingham take their time to approve you, because that's what our home offices are, they approve you. They did their due diligence on you and feel like you're an asset. So that's a huge congratulations to you, Brad, because hey, we all know how hard you work, how much time you put in, and it's well deserved. It's well deserved because guess what? Somebody has to do it. Why not you?
Hey, it is a big deal. I just wanted to come on and kind of announce it with you guys here on the show. Especially, I've already said her name once, but her name is Cammie Moore. She is the head of public relations for the Kentucky women's basketball. A lot of other schools call it SIDs. But anyways, huge shout out to her. I'm doing all kinds of stuff now with Greenville Sports Media. You can check out my coverage of women's Kentucky basketball at greenvillesportsmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter as well, or Facebook at College SportsCast, and I am doing and posting stuff. Kentucky just played today, lost another heartbreaker at Georgia, 75-68, but was in the game the entire game, led early. And Kentucky women is playing better. They just got to get over that hump and get a couple of wins under their belt again. They're on a 4-game skid now, so like I said, they're playing better. The last 2 games, they took Mississippi State to the wire in an overtime game that just beat LSU. And then this Georgia team, they had a big girl in the middle that done a lot of their work, half of their work. And it kind of hurt them in the middle. She had 22 and 13. Nicholson is her last name, from Georgia. But anyways, you can check me out. Brad CS Cast on Twitter. I post a bunch of stuff and cover the women's, and then or College SportsCast on Facebook. And then, Jason, I don't know if you heard me, but John Roberts has also been approved to cover media credentials for Auburn baseball as well. So
good deal.
Yeah. So we are, we're moving up. We're doing a lot of work covering SEC. We're SEC media credentialed now. And just so you know, Mr. Jason Harrison, if you want to get into something, just let me know. And I will see if I can pull some strings for you, Mr. SEC guy.
No doubt. I know somebody who knows somebody now. So I'm good.
I know you know people, okay? I know this. You can get in if you want.
Now I know somebody who knows somebody else.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know. I know you know way more people than I do, more that's in the business. So I know I'm just messing with you. Former players and stuff that you have relationships with. I got you.
How about this week, man? How about this week of sports in the SEC around the country? How about it?
It's been a wild weekend. I mean, it's been a big weekend. There was lots of huge games and everything. So it's been a big weekend, to be quite honest with you, in the basketball world. Look at there, guys. Hi from Australia.
That's huge.
So thank you. That's Zach. This is Josh. Thank you on the congratulations. Ian from Australia giving me congratulations. So I just want to put that up there and say thanks, guys. But yeah, we're gonna get into some stuff that's going on here this week, and kind of dig into that. I'm gonna start, since I started talking about the women's game. I think I'm gonna start on the women's side and get into some stuff here. And just a couple of things that I want to mention on beyond what I talked about with Kentucky. Man, if you are not paying attention to Caitlin Clark, she's now 65 points away from becoming the women's game's all-time leading scorer. She was 103 before yesterday's game. She dropped 38, had 12 rebounds. She is 65 points shy of tying Kelsey Plum. And I don't know if you guys know that name, but she is a big-time WNBA player right now. She's been on the Olympic teams. And Kelsey Plum is a top-notch women's basketball player, and she is
a two-time WNBA champion.
Yeah. Two-time WNBA champ. Yeah. And gold medalist too with the Olympic team. Yeah.
Bona fide scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. She scored over 3,500 points in her career, and she is the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball. Caitlin Clark is now 65 points from breaking her record. So I wanted to start with that. And then also on this show on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we were talking about the top 20 list for the Wooden Awards for men's and women's basketball. And I just want to give myself a little shout out here. I told you guys about a freshman guard by the name of Juju Watkins, okay? This girl is legit. And Stanford, okay? Cameron Brink, you got the coach out there with the most wins, just past Coach K and everything, and they whoop up. She scored. Juju Watkins dropped 51. She's a freshman, y'all.
Listen, I think if she were to stay in school for all 4 years, she could lead. She could break every record. But I don't think that she's going to stay that long. I think when she's eligible to declare,
there's never been in the women's game. It hasn't happened yet, but there's a few other. Okay, so Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame dropped 35 yesterday. She's a freshman.
All right, the women's game is growing right before our eyes.
Well, man, there's a Mason. I forgot what her. Down in Texas. She's a freshman. I'd have to go back and look at it, but she's a freshman and playing lights out. But Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame and Juju Watkins, I put both of those in my top 6 for the Wooden Award last week, and they both showed out on me on Saturday. So I just like these girls, man. the game is changing.
Man, hey, they are. And you can't forget the young lady up there in Utah. Because when I pulled up the top 25 women in the country, this list is phenomenal. This is a WNBA list.
Absolutely. I called out the whole top 20 list on Tuesday's show this past week. And then after we did that, then we did like our pick six. And I picked, my own six. And don't get me wrong, I had Paige Buchers and I had Caitlin Clark and I had Angel Reese. I'm trying to think who the fourth one was I put in there. Who would it have been?
You probably said Alyssa Pugh from Utah. She's a
no. I said Cameron Brink from Stanford.
Yeah. I just seen Cameron Brink. Yeah, she's
I said
double machine.
Yeah, she's in there too. I said Cameron Brink, and then my fifth and sixth spots was Juju Watkins and Hannah Hidalgo. That was my top six.
Oh, man, I'm looking at this list. It's a lot because I've been seeing highlights. Because man, look, these young ladies are getting to it. You can tell they love the game just as much as the guys. Man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to move to just a one or two things here with football. They are having a conference. The college football playoff is having a little conference coming up soon. I think it's this coming week. They're having a conference. There is a small amount of buzz about further playoff expansion already, and we hadn't even got into it and had the 12.
They heard you say, "Do away with the bowls." We got the Pop-Tart bowl. We got the
need to. I'm serious as a heart.
We got the Roman noodle bowl. We got all these bowls. We even got, I think we've come to a point in which, like you said, we're starting to stop give out participation trophies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we want to be real with these guys, we probably do have to cut it out. Because it's a lot of great teams out here, but it's a lot of times we're not watching these games. The viewership
I don't really think it's going to happen yet because it's not a big amount of buzz, but there is a small amount of buzz about it already, and we hadn't even got to 2024 and the 12-team college football playoff yet. So,
I think the Power 5 schools try to get as close as they can to emulating the NFL. Right. So if you have, and you're talking about a 12-team playoff, that's similar to the NFL. If I'm not mistaken, you have, you have the first round, you have divisionals, then you have.
Yeah, I mean, there's this idea, of kind of having two big, kind of like AFC, NFC, and having tournaments within them side and then the two meeting, kind of like the Super Bowl. There has been, I don't know if it'll ever come to that, but there's already been talk of stuff like that, to be honest.
Well, when you said it, and I've said it before, when you have so much money involved and you're paying the kids, well, now you have to start, hey, if we paying you and you're not performing, you don't go to no bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your season's over with.
Yeah,
pack it up and take it in.
We had 41 bowls, okay, which is 82 teams. I think it was 41 this time, and there wasn't even enough 6-and-6 teams to fill the bowls. They had to drop down and get some 5-and-7 teams to fill the bowls.
Well, you do know there was a couple teams that were in their transitional year.
They were that was added. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
they added those, and they wasn't, they had said they wasn't going to, but they wind up adding those 2 schools just to fill a couple of other spots, and then they still had to add some 5 and 7 teams on top of that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up, kind of to go with that. Yesterday, the SEC and the Big Ten announced a partnership to address college issues. And I'm bringing this up, kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about, where you have an AFC and an NFC, and they're controlling it all. And, you go through the AFC and you go through the NFC and you have a little tournament, and the 2 winners meet and have a quote unquote Super Bowl. These are the 2 leagues. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's the SEC and the Big Ten. And for them to partner up already and to address college issues, I'm just saying, guys, I think it's coming. I really do.
All right, listen. If we're being frank, this with the exception of the ACC as well, you have to already say that the powerhouses are the SEC and the Big Ten right now. And so if they can address certain things, certain issues that we talk about, because it's going to be a cap. It's going to be a cap. It's going to be a cap, man. It's going to have to be. We're going to have to cap this thing out. So, because it's the wild, wild west right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of issues that I think they're going to talk about. That's not the only issue that they're going to talk about, what I was talking about. But it's just interesting to me to see them partner up already, because the SEC and the Big Ten really don't like each other. Okay. Like, they really don't like each other. And the fan bases don't really like each other, so that's, it was just interesting to me, to see that. So he says Lauren Jackson.
She was a bona fide baller. She was a bona fide baller.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to bring that up. And then the last thing I want to bring up about football is this. What's going on at Tennessee and Virginia with NIL investigations? And now they have filed lawsuits against the NCAA, and the NCAA has been losing lawsuits left and right. So it's not looking like, this looks like a mess that's fixing to happen. And I'm not sure, it's chaos, to be quite honest with you, Jason. And I'm not sure where this goes. The NCAA is trying their best to get a hold of some of these NIL violations, but the court system, when these, teams and players and everybody else has been filing these lawsuits against them, they've been coming out on the short end of the stick 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. It's kind of like we said, something's going on, but when you're talking about suing the NCAA then bags off because they don't want any lawsuit. And I don't have a problem with the NCAA. The only thing that I had a problem with the NCAA was they were not trying to bargain, shall I say. They were not trying to see what everyone else was saying about, the money discrepancy. For so long, the coaches were getting all the money and the players were doing the work. And so, like I told you, I like it, but like I said, if we can find a common ground to put rules in place with these kids, well, okay, you can get a percentage of this because you really don't necessarily need all of it. Because I'm for every kid getting as much money as they can the way that these coaches are being paid. Now, do I realize that a kid doesn't need a $30,000 check in college? Yes. Do I realize that a kid may need $1,000 to $2,000 a month, to make sure that they're straight so they can help out their parents and do this? Yes, I can get that part. But when you start throwing these huge numbers out, and not only are they getting it in cash, then you already know money really doesn't change you. It really enhances who you already are. And then it changes everybody around you. So when it's a money grab, everybody's involved. So, like you said, it's other problems.
To stay competitive. It's tough to stay competitive too, Jason. When somebody throws $13.7 million at you and you're a 17, 18-year-old kid,
you have to be well granted. You have to have a fortress built around you. You see what I'm saying?
It's tough to stay competitive. I mean, why do you know what I'm saying? When you're 17 or 18, your mindset is almost like, why do I even need to continue to do this? I already got my 13.
I made it. I have money that I can start my life with. I can help my folks. I mean, I'm with you on that. That's why I said it's going to be a cap. It's going to be a cap, and then there's going to be rules. But see, like I said, the NCAA dropped the ball on them. Once they knew where this game was going, they should have tried to create bylaws. You know what they're worried about? A rule that they messed up, the transfer rule. See what I'm saying? The transfer rule.
The transfer portal, that's another one. The transfer portal, they said you could only transfer one time. Well, guess what? Some players sued the NCAA, filed against the NCAA in court against them. And guess what? The court system said, no, that's against their legal rights. And now they're saying that they can come in and out anytime they want to. I don't like that. I think the damn court should stay the hell out of it. The courts wasn't in it when NCAA said you can't transfer and you have to sit out a year. Why the hell is the courts in it now? I don't understand why the court system is in it. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Not really. I understand people are filing it. Nobody was doing that 10 years ago when, or 6 years ago or whenever, when you still had to sit out a year and you couldn't transfer, But so the NCAA opens up the door and says, hey, you can transfer once for free and not have to sit out. And then all of a sudden now everybody wants to fight them and everything and file through the court system. And the court system is letting them win all this stuff. And again, like you said, Jason, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West.
And it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, to be honest. All right. So we're going to get to some college basketball scoreboard here, guys. We going to talk about starting with yesterday's games. The first game of the day was UConn at St. John's. UConn played some pretty good ball, handled the business at St. John's. A tough environment there. You got Rick Pitino in his first year. They have been playing some better ball, but UConn comes out on top 77-64 in this game. Marquette manhandled Georgetown yesterday, 91-57. These are top 25 scores from yesterday, by the way. Texas went into TCU, who's ranked 25th in the country, and won a big game on the road, 77-66 at TCU. Utah came up short at San Diego State. Utah was the 17th ranked team in the country this week, and they come up short at San Diego State, 81-67. Kansas. I was really kind of surprised by this game yesterday, just to be honest with you. Houston have been playing really well lately. And Kansas really hasn't played that well. They had lost 2 out of 4. And even one of the games they won, they beat Cincinnati at home and got pretty lucky. to win that game. And Kansas really hadn't been playing well, but they played excellent yesterday. They literally shot 70%, Jason.
In the first half.
70%. I mean,
kind of hard to lose when the ball's going in the hole. Kind of hard to lose. And then Houston wasn't making anything.
Yeah.
So,
and they jumped out to a big lead. They held on. Kansas played really well. They have a freshman that's coming on. Furphy is his last name. They inserted him into the starting lineup, and he had 17 points yesterday, which is an added player bonus for Kansas that they haven't had all season, and he's really coming along. I want to give him a shout out. Kansas won. This was in Lawrence. This was at the Fog, so I knew it was going to be a tough game. I was just kind of surprised that Houston really was never really in this game. That's what I.
Houston is a tough team. I think they play their style of basketball that they play at home on the road. When you're at home, you spend so many hours in your gym, and on the road, you got to just take better shots. I think they take hero shots when they get down. Ole Miss looks like them when they play.
Cryer got hot at one point there and kind of brought them back to about 8 or 10.
You're not going to beat good teams with one player unless his name is Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley. I'm just talking about the big dog, Glenn Robinson. I'm talking about guys who can just impact the game, not just scoring, but facilitating and rebounding. That can dominate a game. So it's it's kind of hard to do that. Like I said, and everybody's good. Everybody has a chance to win. If you don't bring
Kansas basically dominated them for the most part of the game. Like I said, after early, because they jumped on them early. I mean, about 8 or 10 is about the closest they ever got. They wound up getting beat 78-65 in Lawrence. UCF beat Oklahoma at home 74-63. Oklahoma was the 23rd ranked team in the country. Texas Tech.
It's hard to get a win down there in Central Florida now. It is. A lot of nice scenery down there. Central Florida, good weather. Good weather down there.
Oh, it is good weather down there. That's for sure. Yeah. Texas Tech, who had been leading the Big 12. I haven't looked at the standings. I'm not sure now, but they lose at home. Cincinnati gets a really, really big win. Excuse me. Texas Tech.
3-point win.
3-point win, 75-72. That's a huge win for them on the road. And then, Jason, my next game I got to talk about here is Auburn and Ole Miss. And, Ole Miss had been playing pretty well. They played well at home. They jumped out, actually, on Auburn early, had a 10-point lead earlier in the game. And Auburn just, got in that juggernaut and just put the hammer to them, really, and beat them 91-77 at home.
Name of the
I know
game.
you probably paid attention to that game. Jason Harrison here is a former Ole Miss player, so
I'm not gonna lie to you, Brad. I was at the casino yesterday, and so I was in West Memphis. Just got back this morning. I took a daddy day and went and hung out with some buddies of mine.
Okay.
I saw the first half because Memphis is just an hour away from Oxford. So I started to drive over and make an appearance over there, but I was like, nah. But then I wouldn't have been able to do it because it was protests on the bridge yesterday. It was a big thing. You probably hear about it later on. It was a big thing. Could nobody come in or out Arkansas to Tennessee because both bridges would been a protest. Lasted for 4 hours.
Really?
I'm just going to say that. So I'm glad I didn't decide to do it. But, man, Ole Miss jumped out like you said. But, hey, man, at the end of the day, when you making shots, when you get outscored by 20 points in the second half.
Well, Auburn's got a great offense when it gets going.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure do. Sure got to give him a lot of credit. I hate to see it.
Chris
Give him
Beard's
a lot of
done an
credit.
awesome job at Ole Miss in his very first year, bringing guys in. They, revamping the whole roster basically. I mean, there's a couple of guys that are, that are there that was there last year, a few guys that are playing, but most of the roster is kind of revamped. And he's doing a fantastic job. Morrell was there last year and played well, and he's playing a good.
Morrell and Brayfield was there last year. But like you said, when you flip a roster like they did, and then you don't get to production. Even though Al Flanagan was at Auburn, he came over. He was super aggressive yesterday. But
that's a tough game for him to have to go against Auburn.
Yeah, but at the same time, when your guard goes 2 for 12, you see what I'm saying? You go in the production. You don't get the production.
Flanagan's an Auburn graduate. I mean, played there. That's a tough game for him.
Well, see, it's a background game too, because his dad was an Auburn legend. His dad was. I grew up with his dad, West Flanagan.
I mean, brothers played there. Everything. I mean, there's been a bunch of Flanagans.
Yeah, Jason Flanagan played with me at Ole Miss. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Flanagan, we all grew up. So but I man, when you got to look at it, you 12 3-pointers, they go 12 for 27, and then but you when you look at the box score, they scored 56 points in the second half.
Yeah, in the second half.
That's
like I said, their offense just got clicking. They've got a juggernaut when that happens, and they won 91-77 in Oxford yesterday. Big win for them. FAU handles Tulsa. FAU is 20 in the country, 102-70. BYU gets a nice road victory, 86-73. And they're ranked 22nd in the country. That's a Big 12 road victory for them. And then we get to North Carolina and Duke. Great game, except I feel like North Carolina kind of midway, late first half, kind of jumped out 5 or 10 points and really never, it wasn't quite like the Kansas-Houston game, because I feel like Duke hung around a little bit longer than what they did. But I feel like after about the 6-8 minute mark of the first half, it was mostly an 8 or 10, 12, 15-point game.
It was. I think North Carolina, this is how I felt. They knew that they were better than Duke. And so they're playing with such a high level of confidence right now. It's unmatched right now. And then they play well at home, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was at home. And there'll be return dates on all these big games. Kansas and Houston and Duke, North Carolina, and the Kentucky Tennessee game. We'll get to that in a little bit, but getting close on that one. But okay, so North Carolina wins at home 93-84 over Duke yesterday. Iowa State had a late buzzer beater taken off the board. I don't know if you've seen that or not, Jason, but they had a late three taken off the board because it was after the clock. They reviewed it. He hit it, but they reviewed it and it was still in his hand, and they took it off the board. And Baylor survives at home 70-68 over Iowa State. Both these teams are ranked. This was a ranked versus ranked game. Baylor was at home in Waco. They're 18 and Iowa State is 12. It's a tough loss, especially when they hit the shot and the team thought they won because it was right. Just the ball, it was a bang, bang play, and it really looked like that they had won, but it was taken off the board. So big win by Baylor at home and a tough loss for Iowa State, the Cyclones, to lose that way yesterday. And then that gets me to Kentucky, Tennessee at Rupp yesterday. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not happy, not satisfied with the way Kentucky's playing ball, not whatsoever. Their defense is horrific. I mean, horrific. And it's very hard for me. I'm a coach at heart. Okay. I've been a coach. I think like a coach. I behave like a coach. I act like a coach. It's very hard for me to sit and not say something about a guy who just consistently watches terrible damn defense and does nothing about it. As a coach, you have to have an arsenal of thoughts and ways and strategies and everything to help your team win. And I just don't understand the concept of throwing the ball out and just whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to let them play and I'm not going to do a damn thing. I don't understand that concept whatsoever. That's what is happening at Kentucky. Kentucky's defense is atrocious. Atrocious. Tennessee's a good team. I'm not going to take anything away from them. Dalton Connect is fantastic. Yesterday, we made Ziegler and James look like All-Americans. I mean, honestly, we made them look, I'm not going to say they're not good players, but they're certainly not All-Americans. But they sure looked like it yesterday. So
when I saw that score, I thought it was the NBA score. I thought it was a misprint. Like Tennessee. Now Tennessee
has lost 3 of their last 4 games and scored over 91 points a game. How do you lose 3 games and score 91, 92, and 93 points?
That's like you said, man. You're playing one end of the court, but
have you ever heard of that, Jason? I don't know that I have ever heard of a team losing 3 games and scored 92 points a game.
That says a lot, though, man. That says a lot, man.
I don't know that I've ever heard of that.
But look who they're losing to. You gotta understand. I mean, I'm bringing up the box scores right now.
They're losing to teams. I mean, they're losing to a lot of teams that have really good offense. And when you pair that with a team that don't play any defense, I mean, but my issue is this, Jason. If you're the coach, why in the hell aren't you making adjustments like it and doing something different? I don't understand that.
What adjustments could he really make? You got to understand. Here's the thing, and with coaching, and this is the toughest thing right now.
What do you mean? There's 20 different types of defense that you could play.
Okay, you play zone. They start, but they're hitting shots. So, do you really want to play zone? Then you don't really want to do something that you really don't work on.
A good coach, Jason, will mix it up.
I can understand that.
A good coach, you don't stay in a zone and let them bust and shoot. That's not how. But a good coach they might throw 5 different defenses at you. If
you're right, I can agree with that.
If you're struggling defensively, you got to do something. You can't just sit there and watch it.
Man, it's hard, man, because like you said, then you get into a score for all. Everybody's scoring, but the minute you start the ball's not going in the basket for you.
Kentucky's in trouble because they still got to play Auburn, that's got a juggernaut offense. They still got to play Alabama, that's even better than Auburn on offense. They got to play Tennessee again that's got a great offense. I mean, I'm telling you that with this defense, if adjustments and something is not made, This Kentucky team is in trouble, and it's such a shame because they have one of the best offenses in the country.
That don't matter though, Brad.
They have one of the worst defenses.
But really, that don't matter now, because if you're preaching, we got to score, when you can't score, it's hard to fathom. Like, we got to play defense. Why are the big boys back there? Why they not blocking shots, getting the rebound? That's the defense. You don't think as a guard.
You don't play 16 minutes yesterday, and he had 4 blocks.
But still, though,
I mean, you know,
he ain't guard. Your guards, you are just as good as your guards. Whoever has the better guards are normally going to win.
In this game, in this day and time, it's all about on-ball defense.
Guard play. Your guard play has to set the tone.
You get blown by all the time, then you're putting your team in rotation all the time. You're putting your team in rotation.
I would say this because
guess what? You're leaving somebody open in the corner. You're leaving somebody open on the backside. When you put your team in rotation every time on defense, that's what happens. Like I said, guys, I'm a coach. I can talk this ball and talk strategies and coach all day long.
But
I mean, that's Jason knows I'm right. That's what happens.
I mean, you're 100% correct. I can't say that. The only thing I would say is if I know I don't have a team that I can wear it down from a defensive standpoint, I still have to bag them up, because you're still playing the game a little bit different. You're playing to try to you're playing 4-minute increments. That's what the college game is. 4-minute increments, because every 4 minutes is a TV timeout. And so you're trying to break the game down and play. Can you make adjustments in them 4 minutes? You sure can. But as a coach, when you get to a certain level, you don't want to be playing a lot of people. You want people to get a rhythm. You want people to understand, hey, this is going on. But I am with you. Sometimes you just got to throw what you think you can do out the bat and just make the adjustments.
It's better than just watching them run up and down the floor and score on you at will.
Yeah, you're right. You have to always switch some stuff up. You can't stay the same. I totally agree with that.
I mean, I just don't understand it. Kentucky, Tennessee jumped out 10, 12, 15 points pretty early on inside the first 6-8 minutes. Kentucky did close it. They closed it to 4 at halftime. They closed it to 1 once in the second half. They closed it to 2 another time in the second half, but wound up getting beat by 11. It was a bunch of free throws at the end that Tennessee was hitting, and Kentucky was, trying to make some plays and miss stuff at the end. And they wound up getting beat 103-92, give up 103, the most points ever scored by Tennessee in Rupp Arena, in Lexington, not just Rupp Arena, in Lexington.
The crazy thing about this is, and I'm looking at the standings in the SEC, because we're both avid SEC guys. Let's just say it. We love the game. We love the game. We love all.
I think Ole Miss and Kentucky are both sitting at 5-4 in the standings.
Both of them are sitting at 5-4.
Yeah,
3 games. Then you got Alabama at 8-1, South Carolina, which to me, that's the coach of the year. That's the coach of the year. That's the coach of the year. That's
right
hands
now.
down. Right now,
I agree with you.
Right now, he is the coach of the year.
Halfway through, we're 9 games through an 18-game schedule. So halfway through, I agree with you.
He's the coach of the year. Now, if they can keep it up, that's what's up. So now these next 9 games, it's a dogfight. You got
Auburn's right there too, aren't they? 7-2.
Auburn is right. 7-2. They're tied with South Carolina.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the SEC might get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The SEC might get in. Florida's a stretch, but they're a good team. 1, 2.
There's a chance they could get 8.
1. That's what I'm counting right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Texas A&M, because they've had they
in Florida are question marks right now.
Yeah. So and then you're looking at 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 for sure NCAA teams.
Yeah.
6 for sure NCAA teams with the possibility of Mike getting a 7th one with Florida and Texas.
Could get 8. Depends on how it plays out. I mean, just depends on how it plays out.
Yeah, these last 9 games in this SEC tournament, it's going to say a lot.
I mean, Alabama yesterday, the last game I want to talk about on the scoreboard here is Alabama absolutely demolished Mississippi State at home, 99-67. Mississippi State has been struggling away from home. They play a whole lot better at home than they do on the road. They have some good players. Hubbard's a great player. Tulu Smith's a great player. I mean, Mississippi State is a really good team, but they have struggled away from home, away from Starkville.
Yeah.
And Alabama is one of the best offenses. Kentucky and Alabama are probably 1, 2, or 2 and 3 in the country as far as offenses in the country.
Right about that. About that.
All right, so I'm going to switch it up and go to today's scores. As soon as I get this to come up, I know Purdue beat Wisconsin 75-69 at Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's some more games, more top 25 actions coming on later on today. We'll probably get ready to start up here in a little bit. You know, you got Nebraska against Illinois, 14-ranked Illinois. You got Stanford going to Arizona. And then, like you said, Purdue pulled out a win 65-79 against Wisconsin on the road. Good road victory. Then you got a bunch of other games that are going on. I think that the Temple and Tulane is going to be pretty good. UAB and SMU, that's going to be a good one later on as well. Yeah, man, you have a bunch of –
a couple
it's that
of
time of the year.
Another unheralded game from yesterday was Drake at Indiana State yesterday. And Indiana State pulled out an 8-point win at home for the Sycamores. Drake was 18-4. Indiana State is 19-3. This is Missouri Valley Conference that I'm talking about here. That was a very underrated game. Those are two really great teams out of the Missouri Valley. The problem here is Missouri Valley may only get one team into the dance, and now Indiana State has a clear advantage. Indiana State was 10-1 yesterday, and Drake was 9-2, and then Indiana State beats them, so they now have a 2-game advantage and have the head-to-head. So Indiana State may have their best team since 1979 and Larry Bird.
That's saying a lot, man. That's saying a lot. That is saying a lot now. That is saying a lot.
I'm serious. Like, they may have their best team. They were pretty good last year, but, stumbled a few times, didn't get in. And then this year, they are really – they really have a good team. The Sycamores do. So – Terre Haute, Indiana, just throwing that out there. I grew up not too far from there when I was a little boy. My dad got transferred, went from about 3 to 9 or something like that to a little town called Jasper, Indiana. And I grew up there it wasn't too far from Terre Haute or French Lick, where Larry Bird is from. This was few years after. This is when Bird was playing at the Celtics from 81 to let me take that back. No, it would have been late 70s. It might have been when Larry Bird was playing. I would have been there when Larry Bird was playing. Yeah. I mean, I was little. I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but anyways. So just thought I'd throw that in there about Indiana State and the Drake. We picked it in the game day pick 'em, and I thought I'd throw that in there. All right, Jason, it's time. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, we said I can go with the good. I got the bad and ugly too.
Yeah.
The good freshman phenom out of Southern California. She is one, and I think, and I'm gonna piggyback on it. It's a lot of good about the women's college basketball game right now. It's a lot of good. She's just one story that you can continue to go on. You can talk about the scoring record by. You can talk about South Carolina's dominance. You can talk about all the great individual players that you have in college women's basketball. And to be honest, I'm really loving it because now,
Jason, yesterday alone, there was either 3 or 4 triple doubles in the women's game yesterday in one day.
That's what I said. I want to say
one day.
I want to say Juju Smith, not Juju Smith, but what's her name? Juju Watkins. I want to say her name.
Juju Watkins.
I want to say it. Yeah, yep. Make sure. I'm thinking. I just said the football wide receiver, but Juju Watkins, man, she is just one of many stories that is good about the women's game right now.
Yeah, if you pay attention, and I may not even have that number right, but I know there was at least 3 or 4 triple doubles in one day in the women's college basketball game yesterday.
Man, that is whew. That is totally remarkable. And I'm loving the way the game is going for the women right now. That's good. I'm loving to see it.
Yeah, man, you got to give it to them. I agree with you on that. The women's game itself, but the level of play and the amount of players and stuff that's playing in the game now is fantastic. If you are not paying attention, if you're not paying attention to women's basketball, you should. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying that you have to watch it 24/7 like you do football and basketball and stuff. But to pay attention to it, to watch to watch the better games, to watch the better players, and to pay attention to it, the game deserves that, if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess my good. I'm going to go with the top teams. I mean, yesterday was, well, including today with Purdue and Wisconsin, there was 4 top 10 matchups in college basketball yesterday, and 1 today. It was 3 yesterday and 1 today. You had Houston, Kansas, you had Duke, North Carolina, and you had Tennessee and Kentucky. And all 3 of those games, in about 5 weeks, guys, we get a rematch. The return home game is the last day of the college basketball season, March 9th. Mark it down on your calendar, guys. Instead of being yesterday, it was at Kansas, North Carolina, and Kentucky. On March 9th, it will be at Houston, Duke, and Tennessee. The return visit of those top 10 matchups is coming March the 9th. Yeah. About 5 weeks from today, or from yesterday. All right, so that's going to be my good. I love basketball, and I love watching big basketball games like that. I watched them all yesterday, all those big games. I watched them all. So, yeah. All right, the bad, Jason. What's the bad this week in college sports?
I'm going to have to harp on your Kentucky Wildcats. From a schematic standpoint that you mentioned,
well, they lost 3 out of 4, so I can't blame them.
Yeah, from a schematic, because it definitely it can get ugly, but I think it's bad because you've been a diehard Kentucky fan all your life, and you've seen the staple of the defensive schematics that Kentucky normally shows. And so when you give up I've never seen, I could be wrong, I don't know the last time that an opposing team scored 100 points in regulation against Kentucky. You know, it might have been a couple overtime games that it would have happened.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a shock of Kentucky giving up 100 points to their rival Tennessee. And
At one time, Jason, they were on pace to score 120.
Exactly. And so to me, that was bad. That was bad. I mean, that was bad. And I can say that to me, that is bad because Kentucky, you go to Kentucky, you're going to get everybody's best shot. You go to North Carolina, you go to any school that's a blue blood school that has rich tradition, you have to be ready to play your best basketball game no matter what, because the other teams are going to bring it. So I'm going to go with that one for my bad.
I mean, I can't blame you on that one at all. The bad right now, I'm going to go with something similar to what we talked about when we opened the show up. I'm going to go with the chaos that's going on between the NCAA and the court system. And, all the stuff that's happening where the court system seems to be undermining anything and everything that the NCAA tries to do anymore. And it's, for the all-around aspect of college sports, whether we're talking basketball, football, women's basketball, I mean, whatever, baseball, whatever we're talking about, it's not a good thing to have such chaos and being undermined with every turn you do and everything that's happening. And I mean, that's definitely a bad sign with what's going on in the college game.
That was going to be my ugly.
Okay.
That was going to be my ugly.
Well, you can go ahead and use it because I got one that's similar to what you got. So, all right, there's your. So tell me what your ugly is.
That's my ugly. The NCAA trying to get a handle on the can of worms they opened up by unleashing everything. They just like, you know what, forget it. Do everything. But now you want to kind of tighten the rope up. And now you're getting a bunch of resistance.
Yeah.
Now people know how to effectively go around the NCAA and get what they want. Decades.
It even happened with their one-time transfer rule.
Yeah, decades. For decades, the NCAA to me was an entity that you could not penetrate. It was set in stone. The NCAA doesn't allow it.
Absolutely. For 50 years, 50 years.
For decades. But now it's like they met their match. And this shows me that the NCAA knew that they needed to do something, but they were just filling pockets up and saying, no, they're amateurs, things like that. And I think it's coming back to bite them. And that shows the lack of leadership control that we're having.
It's pure chaos, and it's not good for the game. Whether we're talking about baseball, whether we're talking about football,
anything, anything.
So sport, it's not good for the game, to be honest.
And to piggyback, if you're not at a school that has some donors, like you're not going to get the top players anymore like that, unless a kid just wants to come to your institution, and that's any sport right now.
So to add to what you're talking about here, I'm going to throw something else at you off the top that I did not say about the Tennessee deal. Okay. So the NCAA announced an investigation, NIL. So the NCAA has put a pause basically on the Tennessee collective that they say has violated their rules. Okay. Well, Tennessee has filed in court for the NCAA to not be able to do that.
Probably going to get their wish.
So now, not only are they fighting about whether or not there was wrong or not, they're also fighting about whether or not they can still use that collective. Because right now, the NCAA has a hold on it. But Tennessee is trying to get the NCAA to let them off the hook and be able to use that collective still. And I'm not saying that any of that is right or wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I am saying is this: if the NCAA doesn't have some kind of a power, but I want to state that with that it has to be a swift investigation. It has to be a swift, punishment. You can't hold their you can't hold their collective collateral in this and then take 2 years to come up with a punishment. You know what I mean? That's NCAA's got to get way better at what they're doing. But I understand that they would do something like that and then say, okay, within 30 days, we're going to have a punishment. We're going to have a determination. You know what I'm saying? And something like that has to happen if you're going to get this under control.
Hey, we're heading to uncharted territory right now.
Yeah. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm gonna be honest with you, Jason. My ugly is Kentucky's defense. I mean, yeah. I don't know that Kentucky's defense can get any worse. Honestly,
it can't. You give them 100 points.
I'm gonna throw a number out at you, and you tell me. You've been a coach as well. You coach at AAU, okay? So you've been a player and a coach, and I know you think more like a player, but I know that you've been a coach as well. So I'm going to throw this number out at you. Yesterday, Tennessee scored on Kentucky at a 1.3 point per possession. 1.3 points per possession. Listen, guys. A 1 is terrible defense. If you're giving up 1 point per possession, that's terrible defense. Good teams only give you about 0.6 or 0.7 points per possession. Really good defensive teams give you around 0.7, 0.6, 0.65, 0.7. 1.3 points per possession is unheard of. I don't know that I've ever even heard that.
That's
except for AAU ball. I mean, you might go play AAU ball and people do that.
I mean, listen, I've seen that at AAU ball. Funny story. I think I told you that about one of your players down there in Kentucky, who's right there right now, the Reeves kid. He played with Midwest Elite, and they had about 8 players. 8 players. We played them at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I had a big team. But I looked down there, and I saw them warming up, and they wasn't warming up like it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And I looked at my guy who was coaching. I said, "Ooh, we in trouble." He's like, "Why you say that?" I'm like, "Man, look how they warming up. They pass shot. They're working on swinging the ball. What I like to call the swing action. Sometimes you got to swing to get that shot you really want, that rhythm shot." And so they were really just working that way. And Reeves was on that team. And they beat us almost by 40 at 8 o'clock in the morning because they played so well together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, man, their defense is just atrocious, absolutely horrendous. I've never seen Kentucky's defense ever be that bad. Ever. Not ever. Not that bad.
That bad, you're right. So they got to get together.
Yeah.
I said the thing about Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got to put 2 halves together again.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I could have said something about my Ole Miss team. We got 4 losses, 2 by the same school. You know, we got to get that. We got to get that going.
Yeah. All right, guys. The poll will come out tomorrow. the new poll out. Tennessee took a loss earlier and they beat Kentucky, so I don't really think we'll see Tennessee drop all that much from their 5 spot. The top 5 handled their business. Besides Houston lost in the top 5 this week. And Tennessee lost earlier in the week to South Carolina. That's why we were talking about South Carolina being Ferris being SEC Coach of the Year so far right now too. So, but we're going to see some changes. Kentucky's going to fall pretty far, I think. Duke's going to fall. Wisconsin lost twice this week. They were 6th last week. They're going to fall. So we're going to see some changes in the poll. And Jason, it's February, man.
You know what that means? Hey, it's the last full month.
Yep.
The last month before you make this run.
I mean, it's February. It's time to make some run, to get your team straight and to make some runs. I mean, you don't have – I think Kentucky has 10 games left, I think.
Man, look, it's here.
Yeah.
It's here.
I mean, it's the 1st of February, so, there's not a whole lot of time to play around with things anymore. It's time to get it figured out. It's time to get it figured out and, create some cohesiveness. Because if you don't create some cohesiveness before the tournament time comes, I mean, these other teams that are doing it are going to put you out. That's just all there is to it.
Bottom line.
Yeah. All right. So we will see you guys on Tuesday night. We will do our Big Fuss show. I think Jason will be on with me. I'm not sure if John Roberts will be back or not. He is out of town. I can't remember how long he told me he was going to be out of town. So I can't remember exactly if he's going to be back in 2 nights or not. But me and Jason will be on here for sure. And possibly Hammonds too. Might have Hammonds on. And we will do our Big Fuss show, College SportsCast Big Fuss show. Try to have some good topics. Might piggyback off of 1 or 2 of these topics. And because I think we had a couple of things here today that could have been good debate topics. So I might piggyback off of them to create a couple of them and come up with a few others. So we do our news and debate show. It'll be at 8:00 Central Time on Tuesday night. And Jason, I appreciate you joining me. Always having fun with you, man.
Always a good one, man. Always good.
Well, all right, man. We are halfway through the SEC. Like I said, we got 10 games left. It's February. I think it's 5 weeks from yesterday is the last day of the regular season.
It's coming to the end.
In college basketball.
No doubt,
and by the way,
doubt.
before we jump off here, I will be in Greenville, South Carolina, March the 6th through the 10th.
You already got your hotel booked? You better book the hotel. You better book your hotel and get your Airbnb. They're going like hotcakes.
I just got the news yesterday, so no, I do not have it booked.
You better get on it. You're going to be
Yeah.
Hey,
No,
when
I
you
do
see
not.
those prices, you're going to go get your Airbnb.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So the show, we'll see. I don't know if we'll be able, I'm not sure what we'll do those days. That'll be the week before the men's championship.
I'm gonna say you're gonna do a remarkable job,
Kind of stuff.
and they're gonna say, "Hey, Brad, do you think that you could possibly go to Nashville and cover the guys? We'll take care of things."
I'm I'm an hour from Nashville,
I
Jason.
know.
I'm an hour from Nashville. I would love to.
Yeah.
I can actually. I don't have to get a hotel to do that.
Go back and
I
forth.
could drive back because I'm literally an hour from Nashville.
Yeah. Good deal.
Where I am. I could drive back and forth. I don't have to get a hotel for that. Now I will have to get a hotel to go to Greenville or Airbnb or something. To go to Greenville, South Carolina.
No doubt.
All right, man. We will see you guys on Tuesday for the Big Fuss Show. This has been Brad and Jason with College SportsCast, the weekend wrap-up show, week 24. See you next time, guys.